We're rolling along here on any given Thursday. I am Harrison Graham. He is Chase Sr. Tua Tagovailoa trade destinations. Could the Dolphins quarterback be on the move? Well, Chase, this all stems from a potential Deshaun Watson trade to Miami. So could Tua be on the move? We'll explore it and take a look at some potential fits. Catch us up on what's been happening in Miami.
Sometimes I wish that the viewers had a webcam of our reactions inside the Chat Sports offices, because when this news came out from John McClain, who's a very credible reporter covering the Houston Texans, you don't take it with a grain of salt. You take stock in those types of reports because he's one of the better Texans reporters in the history of Texans reporters, and a very, very responsible and trustworthy NFL reporter. So he comes out yesterday saying a Tua Tagovailoa, Deshaun Watson trade could happen at some point soon. Tua continues to be kind of a porous option for the Miami Dolphins. He's dealing with some injury issues, not quite providing that spark and that pop for the Miami Dolphins offense. Coming off that injury that he suffered a few weeks ago, and really injuries have been a consistent theme going back to his Alabama days, which I think has made him expendable and has caused all of this conversation of him just being a draft pick bust.
It's all very curious to me because we haven't even seen him start a full season worth of games. In 13 games, look, the numbers don't jump off, right?
No.
14 touchdowns, 7 picks.
In 13 starts, that ain't it.
That's pretty pedestrian. I will say, everybody's going to compare him to Justin Herbert forever because he went one slot ahead of Herbert. Obviously, Joe Burrow, the number one pick in that draft as well. I think by far, Justin Herbert has had a better situation than Tua.
Yep.
The weapons around him, better. The play calling, better. The offensive line, better. Now, head coach, you could go either way. I think right now, for sure,
Herbert's on a second already, but Tua's had 2 OCs.
Yeah, and look, am I saying that I would take Tua over Herbert? Hell no, I would take Justin Herbert. I'm simply saying that this is not the first time we've seen a young quarterback come in and be up and down, and a lot of factors around him are not that great. So would I punt on him this early? Probably not, but they seem pretty interested in Deshaun Watson, so we'll keep tabs on that story as well. So let's ask you this question, then we'll take a look at 6 teams that could trade for Tua. Will the Dolphins trade him away? Type T for trade, type K for keep. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, scroll on down and just type a T or type a K. All right, we cooked up 6 teams. We'll start with these 3 and then get to 3 more that could trade for Tua, teams that I and you believe could make sense for the young lefty quarterback. How about Washington, right? You got Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think anyone thinks Taylor Heineke's a long-term solution as a starter. I think he's proven he can be a good backup. Does that make sense? Could Washington be a good fit? They've got some nice young weapons.
Well, what's the most glaring need on Washington's roster right now and looking into the future? It's at the quarterback position, and I was confused at what they did in the offseason or what they didn't do addressing the quarterback spot. They had an opportunity to sign a quarterback in free agency. They go with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They had an opportunity to maybe move up in the NFL draft to get their future signal caller. They elected not to do that. Now, Taylor Heineke, I think he can be a very good backup and a very good spot starter, but is Taylor Heineke the face of your franchise? No. Is Tua Tagovailoa that? I'm not sure. The jury is still out. He doesn't have many explosive qualities. He's not really that athletic or fast, doesn't have the greatest arm, but what he did at Alabama, I think there were glimpses of him being a very, very solid long-term starter. And at the very least, if Tua doesn't become that, could he be a cheap, affordable, high-end backup for Washington moving into the future as they stabilize that position a little bit more? I think so.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a lot of good points there. Tua can at least be a fringe starter type. All right, today's show is sponsored by BetUS. 5 more teams to get into. If you want to make some money this weekend for Week 7, one place to do it. Guys, little inside tip. I'm 12-3 the last 3 weeks. Your boy is hot. I tweet out my picks every Sunday morning, so give me a follow at HGramNFL. If you want to get going with BetUS, click the link below. It's chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code CHAT125. You deposit $100, they'll give you $125 for free. With that 125% deposit bonus, stay tuned. Chase and I will give our picks as well later on our live show on Thursday. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the one that there's been no reporting on this, but I think really could make a lot of sense here, Chase. I would love to see Tua in Pittsburgh. I would love to see them trade for him and give him the 2022 season. Big Ben's got to go after this year.
Oh,
he should have gone after last year. They brought him back because the contract was bad. They restructured. Okay, fine. A lot of moving parts there. You can't let him take a snap in 2022. Tua, though, if you can't get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, they'll certainly explore that. I think with the weapons they have at wide receiver with Juju Smith-Schuster, you have a nice young running back in Najee Harris that Tua overlapped with at Alabama. I think that could make a lot of sense. I like Mike Tomlin as a head coach, Chase. I think Pittsburgh might be my favorite fit if Tua could go to another team. I would like it even more if you could trade for him midseason and he could sit behind Ben Roethlisberger for a couple of months, a guy who's been there and done that, and then in 2022, you maybe have your answer at quarterback.
Yeah, real quick, what was the argument you made earlier when comparing Tua to Justin Herbert? It's that Herbert has had the better foundation, the better surroundings, the easier start with that respective organization. For Tua, he hasn't had that, but what does Pittsburgh have? Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season since he's been the head coach of Pittsburgh. They're one of the best identifiers and developers of wide receiver talent. You know that as long as Mike Tomlin is there, that defense is going to be ready to play. That's been the calling card for that franchise for a really long time now. So I would like him going to Pittsburgh. And yeah, you make a good point. You get him this year, in the middle of the year, let him just cool off a little bit and regain that confidence.
Yeah, so who will be the Steelers' next quarterback? Because I don't think anyone on the planet, including Ben Roethlisberger, thinks he'll be the starter in 2022. So who's it going to be? Now, I think they're going to go after Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that ends up playing out, but maybe the answer is Tua. Let us know down in the comments. Okay, we got another team here. The New Orleans Saints, kind of similar reasons. Different in the sense that obviously Jameis Winston's still a young quarterback, but I think he's still got a lot to prove over the next dozen or so games in New Orleans if he's worthy of another contract. If he flames out, maybe you trade for Tua, who's still on his rookie contract, and you give him the keys to the offense for 2022.
When Tua throws the ball, it's not like he has a bazooka, a rocket launcher, elite arm strength. Well, Drew Brees didn't have an elite arm for a long time, and Sean Payton and Drew Brees were able to win a lot of games over a long period of time. A reason why Drew Brees was so successful with Sean Payton, his football IQ. And I think a big reason why Tua was able to succeed at Alabama, he had the want to and he had the football IQ. That's why Nick Saban went with him in part, because he was a very, very smart player. So I think Tua would be able to be successful in New Orleans, and I'm not sure Jameis Winston is the long-term solution.
And I think what Sean Payton would do is really simplify an offense for Tua. Like, nothing Drew Brees did there was ever overly fancy. He didn't throw a ton of 50-yard bombs downfield. It was a quick passing attack. When I watch Miami, I see a lot of five-step drops, and he's trying to, wait for these plays to develop downfield, like these deep crossers and all these dynamic passing routes. Get the ball out of his hands. I think that is a type of offense that he could excel in, work some play action as well. That's something Drew Brees did very well with the Saints. I don't like what the Dolphins are doing with Tua. He certainly has some blame to own, but I don't think they're putting him in great positions to succeed. We succeed here at Chat Sports. At least we think we do. If you like what you're seeing, if you like our videos, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. That way you're going to get buzzed on your phone. Hey, another video from Chat Sports. Boom, you can click on it and you can watch whatever video that is. A bunch of content from us here at any given Thursday. You see myself, Chase, Mitch, Tom. We're cranking out videos all the time, so subscribe and turn on noties. All right, we got 3 more teams, Chase. So the Houston Texans, there's reports coming out that if they trade Watson, they actually aren't that interested in Tua. I don't know if I believe that, and even if it's true, I still think they're worth mentioning because that still seems the easiest way to facilitate a Watson trade to Miami to send Tua back to Houston.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for Houston to not be engaged, not be interested in Tua
Davis
because
Mills
they have Davis Mills who's playing right now as well as Tyrod Taylor. So Davis Mills has been very up and down. There's no doubt that he is not the long-term starter in Houston, nor is Tyrod Taylor. There's a reason why he's been a backup for a long time, and Davis Mills was pegged as basically a backup type of player coming out of college. Houston doesn't have their future quarterback. Could Tua be it? He's not going to be a Deshaun Watson, but maybe he could be serviceable to at least bridge the gap to that next guy.
So speaking of Watson, a lot of smoke around him. I'm going to type my end for no. Until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. But what do you guys think? Will he get traded before the November 2nd trade deadline? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I know there's a lot of smoke. I believe John McClain's reports. I don't think there's any doubt. There's been conversations between the Texans and Dolphins. I just cannot buy into it with 22 sexual assault claims out there. So we'll see what happens. Let us know what you guys think. Type your Y for yes or type your N for no. How about the Denver Broncos? Similar to Houston, Mike Klis, Klis, you can find him on Twitter. He's been covering the Broncos for years. He reports that the Broncos are not interested in Tua, but I do think there could be a scenario where that makes sense. I think they've basically decided that Drew Lock is not the future. Mm-hmm. You don't go to Teddy Bridgewater unless that's the case.
No.
And we know Teddy Bridgewater is not a long-term solution. Like, he's a good stopgap guy. He can run an offense, but you're not going to the promised land with Teddy Bridgewater. Now, are you with Tua? I would probably lean no at this point, but you at least need to find that out, and maybe Denver could be a team that is willing to find that out, maybe buy low on a guy like Tua, bring him in here and see what he can do.
What's the consistent theme among these teams that we're talking about? They don't have a long-term starter at quarterback,
exactly.
And if you don't have a quarterback who is your franchise guy, you're in NFL purgatory. And right now, the Broncos have been an average franchise ever since Peyton Manning left because they haven't been able to get the quarterback right. So at the very least, a team like the Broncos, the Texans, the next team coming up as our last to a destination, the Atlanta Falcons, who are a little bit more sure with Matt Ryan right now, at least take a chance, at least be aggressive to take a chance on a guy who came into the league with pedigree. So many people were calling him a sure thing. He's got some ability. He's got some potential, some talent. Take a swing and at least hope that it might work out, and if it doesn't, you pivot from there. But you're not going to have to give up all that much for Tua Tagovailoa at this point of his career.
Yeah, and you think about Atlanta specifically, and by the way, you Dolphins fans, youtube.com/Dolphins News, RC Maxfield cranking out videos all the time over there. Go check that out. But I kind of like the Falcons similar to the Steelers, although maybe it's a year later. I think there's a good chance Matt Ryan is here in 2022 for Atlanta. But what's the worst that can happen if you sit a kid down for a year and a half, and let him learn? What, he learns more about the game? I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing whatsoever if Atlanta wanted to look in that direction and bring in a guy like Tua, because obviously they're going to be trying to win this year, and this year's draft class is not that good at quarterback. So maybe they're thinking, okay, let's go get Tua. Ryan's our guy in 2022, and if we feel like Tua's ready after that, boom, 2023, you plug him in. Maybe you trade Matty Ice at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like, Matt Ryan hasn't shown the age that some other quarterbacks have, like a Ben Roethlisberger. He's not that bad.
Not to that degree.
But Matt Ryan is on the downward trajectory
no
of his career. He's on the back nine, maybe on hole 16 with 17 and 18 coming up. Just don't choke down the stretch like some golfers do out there. But, the Atlanta Falcons could be a Tua destination for sure.
Yeah, I think that could make a lot of sense. So those are our 6 teams that we think make sense. What do you think? What team should trade for Tua? Let us know down in the comments. Where would you like to see Tua play next?